Hello, everyone. I'm Ronan and Chain, and welcome back to the Syndicate, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host. I have with me Brent, Age of Grogu. How you doing,
Hey,
Brent?
good. How's it all
And
going?
we have with us my compadre that I spent almost a week with in Japan, Kyle Katarn. How you doing, Kyle?
Hello
Hey,
there.
hey.
Thanks for
How you
having me,
doing?
man. Good to be back.
Um, Folks, we're gonna get into Andor season 2. We're gonna get into the news of Tales of the Underworld. We're gonna get into a little bit of tiny bit of celebration recap because Kyle and I both filmed a lot of stuff from there.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting convo to have with this one because I've been waiting for y'all to catch up with Andor with this arc because I'm like, whoo, it's gonna start ramping up.
Because you
Uh-huh.
saw a little bit early, right?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
I was
Have
very
you? Have
fortunate
we
to
seen
the.
everything you've seen, or have you seen more still?
I put a review out, but yeah, I was fortunate to check out the series, and so like it was tough being at Celebration. People were speculating about like, ooh,
Some of us have
recast and
big
whatnot.
connections.
No. I was very fortunate because I was also working with a media outlet, and they're like,
Great. That's
they want
cool.
to cover it. I'm like, fuck, I gotta go to Japan, but okay, let's have it right. And then I didn't have to bite my tongue because people kept saying, who did they recast? Was it a Bell Organa? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm excited for Andor. Cool,
It's gonna
but
be amazing.
but yeah, I think the first thing we could talk about before we get into Andor and all that is that a fascinating, and I choose that word specifically, marketing tool for Tales of the Underworld is that the first 2 episodes are going to be premiering in Fortnite on Friday.
Yeah,
May
weird.
2nd.
Oh,
right?
really? Okay, I hadn't heard
Yes.
this.
Yes.
Okay.
So that I think you have to go to again. I don't play Fortnite, but you have to get into like some
neither.
location to watch.
They have like a
the-
map with a movie screen in it, and it's like
Yeah.
you treat it like a
really?
theater, like a virtual theater.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's funny. Wow.
So you hear that. What are your guys' thoughts of like, oh, cool, we get to see the first 2 episodes 2 days beforehand, but it's in Fortnite, and it's just
I mean,
Hey, yeah, go for it.
I value the viewing experience a little bit too much to want to do it in a multiplayer lobby with people doing weird dances and running around and presumably firing guns off and stuff. I've never played Fortnite before, but that's my impression of it, And I probably will end up checking it out eventually. But like this is the second time they've done this Fortnite tie-in, like for the Rise of Skywalker, Palpatine's like message that he broadcast to the galaxy that they talk about in the story crawl. You could hear it in Fortnite. It's the only way to get that snippet of Ian McDermott's performance was to be playing Fortnite. I just find it to be a weird choice,
yeah. What about you, Brett?
Weird choice. Yeah, I agree. I mean, obviously, it's a smart marketing move to connect with people there. But the problem I have is that people are going to get it a couple of days earlier, and people are not prone to keeping their silence for when something actually airs. And we're going to get spoilers galore that are going to be all over the internet, which means I have to avoid everything for 2 days until it airs on Sunday night. So I'm kind of a little miffed about that because I know that people cannot hold themselves back. It was different 5 years ago. Before COVID, people were able to say, "We'll try to be quiet for the next, day or two."
Etiquette's
Now
gone
it's
far
like
downhill.
the moment it ends up by being, it literally drops. People are already posting, and it's like that's so annoying. I mean, even when you unintentionally are not looking, you still see something by accident. So yeah, that's my thought.
Yeah,
the spoilers are already out there, I think, because people have seen the first episode at Celebration if they were part of that animation.
So that's another thing. I was fortunate to see the episode, and I kept my mouth shut because I'm like, it's a big deal what they showed us, and I'm like, but I don't want to be the one to just like ruin it for everybody, especially for those who have been intrigued to learn more about both Asajj Ventress and Cad Bane. So I was just like, I'm gonna just wait until I know there's a review embargo or the episodes are out, and that way, in a very constructive way, if people want to hear my thoughts, it's out there. But
that's always the better way to go. It's that's playing it safe and being conscientious to you. Like, to speak to what Brent was saying, I feel like we never quite bounced back in terms of etiquette from COVID, and like you see manifestations of that all across society. Like, case in point, Revenge of the Sith re-release in theaters. People were doing all kinds of ridiculous things in the theater that like would not have flown pre-COVID.
Yeah, you had a bad experience. I saw you posted.
So it wasn't necessarily a bad experience. It was a little disappointing that, and a little bit of that's on me, assuming that I could go back to see this movie and it would be just like 2005 again. Like, we live in a different time now, and the theater experience is different. But people were treating it like a damn Rocky Horror Picture Show sing along, like shouting, literally shouting every line of dialogue. People had their phones out. People were using their flashlights. People were getting up and moving around. It's and to me, like, I've seen the movie 1,000 times. I'm not like, oh no, I don't know what happened because of this audience interference. It's just, I wanted to connect with that nostalgia moment, and I was able to do that, but it did pull me out of it quite a few times.
Interesting. See, I had the reverse. I went and saw it last Thursday, like the first screening on Thursday last week, and the biggest thing we had was some guy had Mace Windu's purple lightsaber there and ignited it when he went up against Anakin, and everybody kind of cheered anyway.
That sounds fun.
It was a fun experience. It definitely didn't have any obnoxious people. I think the first screening experience was just everybody was there. They wanted to enjoy it, and it got the right laughs at the right moments because we all knew what was going to happen. The moment that Anakin pulls out that lightsaber and the younglings are all there, everybody just laughs, and they laugh in that we know what's going to happen kind of way. And
that sounds delightful. I think that's the epitome of what you want to have. And I think that you did something right that I did wrong, in that you went on a Thursday. I went to a 9 p.m. showing on Saturday night. So, like,
really, so you'd expect that to be
as busy as possible and high energy, definitely.
Well, we were nearly a full house, even at Thursday at 2 p.m.
Oh, okay. Thursday matinee. See, that's the golden recipe right there. You got to do a matinee if you want to have like a somewhat reserved theater experience. If you go on a Saturday night, you're just throwing yourself to the wolves.
Sure. Yeah.
And it sucks that that's the way it is these days. But like, no, it is on me for choosing the most mainstream time slot for a movie watching experience. That's fair enough.
It's what it is. Like I remember seeing the whole stuff with Minecraft and the chicken in the theater, and I was just like, oh god. I was like, come on now. But like, and what's weird is that also bothers me a little bit hearing that, because a lot of people, I was shocked to hear how much people were going to see this film for the first time in the theater. They had already seen it beforehand, but they never got the experience back in 2005. So they're experiencing in the theater for the first time. And so I was like, I felt bad for them that like I've been hearing these stories. It's like, no, that should
I feel bad for those
should be a moment.
I do, and it's me being old. Sometimes I forget that people exist that are younger than me, and that not everyone has seen this in the theater. I'm like, oh yeah, I saw it in the theater. I was a teenager or whatever.
But
like,
but
people are born every
different
day.
generations too.
Got that.
Yeah. Like a lot of stuff in the movie is meme before their experience. Like we grew up watching the moment he ignites the lightsaber in front of the kids, and that's a big like startling moment. Now it's a meme. Now it's a gif of like how you feel when you go to work or whatever may have you. And so
those prequel memes are such a double-edged sword too, because I really think they are responsible for revitalizing interest and enthusiasm in the prequels so many years later. But at the same time, they completely undercut the emotional weight and the gravity of what's actually happening. Because you're talking about a man slaughtering children, and we're like, the memes. That's not what Lucas intended for us to feel in that moment.
Yeah. I mean, I still cry like a baby when I went in, like the opening shot when the Jedi Starfighters are flying. I'm just in fucking tears. Like I'm like, this is so cool. It is incredible to experience this film on the big screen. I'm sad it's been so long since we've seen it on the big screen again. If they release this every 5 years on the big screen, I'd be going back every 5 years. Absolutely.
So it's hopefully people, to the most part, did get a good experience watching the movie in the theater. But for Tales of the Underworld, I hope it hopefully it works out for that Fortnite thing. Again, May 4th, it'll all 6 episodes should be dropping. That day should be a lot to talk about. Besides that, also the May 4th.
I can't wait to see Ventress bust out the gritty. It's gonna be great.
I outside of the trailer, I don't know anything, so I'm kind of just excited to just go in and accept what they give us and see how it all plays out. I can't wait.
Same here. Normally, I'm my own worst enemy when it comes to like not looking up things in advance, because I can't help but like do my research. It's kind of how I get enthusiastic.
Sure.
But we're fortunate enough that we've got this confluence of events right now. There's so much Star Wars to focus on that it's easy to kind of just shelve that and let myself be surprised when it comes, because we've also got Andor, we've got Star Wars Celebration, we've got Maul Shadow, we've got all these things that were announced. So like there isn't even real estate up here for Underworld right now, which is going to be good because it means I'm going to be more surprised, and like I'm going in blind. I haven't had time to speculate. You know,
one more Star Wars Celebration thing that's happening, and I believe it's on tomorrow. Sideshow are about to do a 3 or 4 day delivery of new releases and stuff like that. They even dropped an image today, which has got a blacked out image of looks like an Ewok. It could be another Wicket 12-inch figure, and it looks like it's Luke Skywalker, but it's on their upcoming tomorrow kind of thing. So they're going to be revealing something new that I'm going to assume wasn't over in Japan, because I didn't see any images from Sideshow that were some new hot.
Probably online exclusive.
I saw there were a couple of Sideshow statues, and I was good enough to take footage of as much as I could.
Yeah, I saw.
Shared a little presentation before you're here.
Yeah,
but
I was say fantastic. Yeah, fantastic, Kyle. I watched your stuff on.
I'm not sure if
this is hot
really
toy.
Showing you the scale of this thing. Let me.
I've seen it. It is so beautiful.
Use my big fat head for scale here. It's enormous.
Yeah.
It is insanely huge.
I don't believe what I'm seeing right now. I need it.
Okay.
And then they had these things, which are to scale.
You gotta be
hot toys.
kidding me with these.
I've only seen video of this. I've seen the TIE Fighter, but I haven't seen the TIE Interceptor in person.
And they're to scale with the hot toys.
Yeah.
I was very curious how heavy it was, because I wanted to just like tuck it under my shoulder and make a run for it.
I have the Gonki and the Jawa. I bought that from Sideshow years ago.
I remember when the Gonk caused a stir when it came out. I was big into that.
I like the original design they had. Sorry.
My God. Look at that. Jesus. Look at that. Oh my God.
And I appreciate the cloth and fabric on these guys.
Yeah. I've got the Obi-Wan. It's gorgeous. And that Luke I've got on pre-order.
I zoom in on Ahsoka here. I like that they have actually. It's Ariana Greenblatt's face. It's like very specifically Kenobi or Ahsoka flashback.
Yeah, she's on pre-order too.
Oh, that Balin.
Gotta have that Balin.
Balin
he was
awesome.
sold out on day one. Before,
right,
I was one of the first people in there, and it was already sold out when I made it to the booth.
Yeah. I want to get the Jar Jar, actually. That hasn't been put up yet.
Same.
Yeah. It looks
I've got my Jar Jar shelf, and there's a big space missing for that hot toy.
The Cassian Andor looks phenomenal. The close-up detail. I'm not going to get it because I've got to really limit what I do get, but and
these were the exclusive. Those were the and so here's the Sideshow statues. Maul, Ventress, and Vader, and oh God, Vader standing on that X-wing engine.
Yeah,
fire. Yeah,
disgustingly good.
Yeah.
I also really love that the base of the Maul one is a broken statue of Palpatine.
Yes,
showing that he's trying to like break out from the shadow. Like I love it when they can tell a story with something as simple as using the base.
Oh yeah,
and the posing.
Yeah. That's great.
Those robot legs. Hey, what's up, Tim? I see you there. Good to see you.
Hi, Tim.
Hey.
But yeah, so oh man, I'm still, I don't know about you, Kyle. I'm still I'm missing Japan. I'm missing just waking up and like just calm, quiet, and just be like, let's go walk. Let's just go walk outside and just see what's going on. Folks, I know you did a stream talking about Celebration on your channel. Is there anything you still like? To me,
briefly, I really didn't cover everything. There was so much that we didn't saw. I only was able to scratch the surface of it on that stream because I was also like half awake. Because for me, like I miss Japan, but I also miss having a regular sleep cycle, and I'm having the hardest time adjusting back. I think I'm finally in the groove of it again.
Was saying.
But my brain and my body were completely opposite each other. My mind is good to go. My body's just exhausted for the last.
Same. Yeah, I think like all that stuff, all the walking and stuff we did, I think it was encapsulated. And then as soon as we landed in the States, it was just like start recovering from that.
Because I flew out of Tokyo at like 8 p.m. on a Tuesday, and I landed in Seattle 6 p.m. on a Tuesday. So it's like No time had really passed, but my body was like 10 hours later. So I just continued on and went to bed at normal bedtime, even though it was like 2 days long of a day.
Yeah.
And I was just wrecked in the morning. Last night I was up until like 4 a.m. doing editing for the Andor reactions. And that felt more normal. I was like, oh good, I'm back on Japan time. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. Yeah. I was setting up the stuff for my TikToks. I'm like dropping just little like short bits of the reaction and whatnot. But yeah, I listen, being in the panels to watch all that footage was dope as hell. I just missed that like we would, either like go do our thing and then regroup for lunch or later, and then we would just spend hours just vibing afterwards. And like, whether it was talking about, seeing stuff on the live stage, or it was because we did the podcast on Sunday, which folks can go check out on Kyle's channel.
Yep, the whole thing's been posted.
That was awesome. Yeah, I watched it.
That was a really fun panel. We had a really good time.
It was surreal, like seeing how people showed up, and like there was a line ahead of time, and I was like, "What is happening?"
I did not expect that either. Honestly, I really thought it was just going to be us hanging out, because that's what I usually don't visualize the audience when it's the podcast, because it's an easy way to get rid of stage fright. It's like, oh, I'm just hanging out with my friends.
Yeah,
but people showed up. People wanted to hear us, and that was the ultimate compliment to me.
Yeah,
very, very validating.
And something that like I'm so glad that even your thumbnail was perfect was that as soon as the celebration of Los Angeles hit, it was like a huge relief on both our shoulders. We're like, okay, we don't have to worry about that too much. About like
it's gonna be a much cheaper trip next time.
Yes. My trip is the price of gas just to drive there and back.
Yeah,
right, exactly. And also it's so accessible compared to Japan. Like so many of my friends, and Bendu too, wanted to be there, but Japan's just not in the budget. And let's be totally clear here. It was not in my budget either. I just made an irresponsible decision and made it happen, and now I'm paying the consequences. But like, people
my
smarter
budget.
than I were like, I shouldn't do this. Exactly. Yeah, we know all about irresponsible financial.
Yes, irresponsible budget. Mine was just a little too hefty at the time. So.
Which is why, like, as soon as this hit the fan, I was like, I hit you up, I hit Brent up, I had Kaksan and everybody. I was just like, okay, y'all, 2 years, it's gonna go like that. Let's start prepping for stuff. And if anybody, as soon as you hear a hotel opening, just book it and whatnot.
I called Scum and Villainy Cantina today and asked him, "Are you guys making reservations for April of 2027 yet?" Told me to call back. So, but I'm gonna get us a booth. Booth. Don't worry about it.
Nice.
But yeah, folks, I think that you're still dropping videos for your vlogs of celebration. I'm still.
Third one came out today. That should be all the footage.
Oh, really? I haven't seen out there now. Okay.
Third one was very short. I really didn't film as much on the third day because I was so like caught up in the moment and really spent most of the time like socializing and networking, and like kind of forgot to buy stuff. Like getting close to the closing ceremony, I was like, oh crap, I don't have any souvenirs. So I had to like run over to the celebration store. Oh shit. I picked up a jacket and like this and that, but I think most of what I spent money on in Japan went straight into my belly, and no regrets. Okay, honestly, like worth it.
How was the food there? I mean, how like compared to regular American crap food? How does it taste?
I do like me some American cuisine. I'm a big burger enjoyer.
Yeah.
But goddamn, we had a teppanyaki meal the Thursday before the con, and it might just be the best meal I've ever had in my life. It was a 4-course meal. I had Wagyu steak. We were on like the top floor of a hotel with like a night view of all of Tokyo.
The sky tree. Yeah.
It was incredible. It was an incredible experience. And then we also had like just like a hole in the wall sushi place in the train station of all places. Best nigiri I've ever had. So like it was just consistently knocking my socks off. Even the convenience store food was really high quality, like way better than
the Lawson's. Yeah.
You're not going to find 3-day-old taquitos over there. No way.
Dude, the buffet on the last day of celebration, like I remember as soon as we got halfway through the food, I was like, fuck, we should have like got here earlier and like just starved ourselves in time just to like eat breakfast and lunch. Like it was so good.
We asked the server too. I was like, oh, like I'm just like piled up my plate here. Like, what's this gonna run me? And she's like, oh, it's a flat rate. It's all you can eat. We were like, wait, what?
Nice.
Get the drinks in, get the food. Yeah. I was like,
the drinks were weak. That's what I'll say. They made some weak ass Moscow mules. I was like, I should not be able to have like 7 of these and be fine.
Right.
Like I should be destroyed by now. and I was just knocking him back, like not even thinking about it. And then I got up and I'm like, I'm so
they saw you coming.
Something's wrong with this picture here.
But yeah, folks. I think you'll still be dropping stuff. I know I'm still working on either releasing mine in terms of days or probably just combining in one, because there's stuff for Celebration, but the cool, fun stuff that I got a kick out of rewatching and editing was the stuff of us hanging out with Busy, with Akasan, with the normies, with New, with Star Wars Colby. Like that was the oh man, I wish we can go back and just hang out in that one small bar that like they're probably like, oh, it's them again for 3 nights in a row.
We all played a game of Sabacc at the hotel, and Busy like took us to the cleaners, man. It was like his first time playing, and he just like hustled us. I'm like, are you sure you're not a Calrissian? Are you sure?
I was going to ask you guys, in the sense of presentation, because I saw Kyle on your videos with a lot of the miniatures and the toys and Hasbro and this and that. The presentation felt like it was even more impressive than what we kind of get over here at conventions over here in America, or do you think they just had a different style of what made that different?
I think I mean it's still Reed Pop, but it was Reed Pop's Japan team,
right?
And so I think that there was a lot of like local sensibilities that informed how they set up their con floor. I found the dioramas to be incredibly imaginative and really eye-catching. And also, I think it speaks a little bit to the Japanese honor system that, like, there was not nearly as much glass between you and expensive things as there have been in previous. Like in Anaheim, everything was under lock and key. They're like, we want you to see it, but we don't trust you just to look.
Yeah,
like you can get right.
Nor should they?
Right? Absolutely not. But it's like a whole different culture over there. Like they've got vending machines that serve beer.
Yeah,
in a parking lot at 4 a.m. Like, are you kidding me? That would be smashed open within 5 minutes up here in Seattle. Like,
there was a booth that was like the manga influence in Star Wars that I wish I would have hung out more, because it was like a beautiful tree, and that's where they did a lot of the Ronin Visions episode presentation.
That room was cool.
Like, I wish I hung out more, and like. Watching,
they have like blacklit holographic posters of each episode up on the wall.
Yeah, man. I saw it from afar, and I'm like, damn. If I didn't have to like catch this stuff, I would have just been hanging out there the whole time. But like, and also seeing how like, and I probably should have cut it early on, but like at points in different like sections where you would enter and exit the convention center, upstairs. Almost the same level as where the stairs would be up is where the patios were set up for like Screen Rant and other outlets to interview the guests, if you will. So I should have been like, man, that's where they're talking to Dave, and Dave is spilling the beans and whatnot. And like it's still a lot. Like it went so fast, and yet I just like wish I just hung out more with the stuff. But yeah, it was impressive.
3 days wasn't enough. It needs to be a 4-day con. Like that needs to be a necessity, because it was I feel like I blinked and it was over.
Yeah,
so fast.
Yeah. And we got there 2 days earlier. Like that was the weird part. We got there 2 days earlier, and it was still like, boom, gone.
Yeah.
But yeah, folks, stay tuned for that. We'll have more stuff for you to cover. But what we can cover now is Andor.
Let's go.
We're eating well this week, and next week and the week up.
The gore, and for anybody who isn't aware, we are going to be talking spoilers. So please check out the episodes, look into it. It is worth your time. It is worth paying for Disney Plus, in my opinion. Please be warned. We're going to be talking spoilers about the show and stuff that they might have brought up from EU and Legends. I don't know about y'all. I did a video talking about like the Gorman massacre and like how that might be connected to the route that we're going to take with the Death Star, the energy project, if you will. And man, when they said the Tarkin massacre, I literally, it's in the video. I was like, holy shit.
That's Gilroy having his cake and eating it too.
He knew that,
like he knew that if he recontextualized it in canon and removed Tarkin as an element, the purists would be upset. But he knew that if he tried to bring Tarkin in, they have issues with the estate of the actor, and so they can't really portray that in the same way again.
Yeah.
So this was kind of his only recourse, but I think that he threaded the needle very, very skillfully with what he decided to do there. We've got 2 massacres. So, the Gormans just can't get a break.
Yeah. Well, that's what I was going to ask. in the books, because I haven't read them, sadly. I'm not a reader. What is the time period that we're aware of that the Tarkin Gorman massacre occurred? Because again, I think the animated series of Rebels kind of referenced Gorman through Mon Mothma, and we assumed it just happened, obviously.
Well, I think it has just happened. I think that it's the new Gorman massacre that will have just happened.
Correct. But what is it? Was that the time frame that we know of, that the original Gorman massacre?
I don't think so.
There isn't a legend story that takes place during the Gorman massacre, or that really details or outlines it. It's referred to in exposition a whole lot, but it takes place sometime in the 19-year stretch between 3 and 4. That's kind of the official answer. Somewhere in there, and now they're placing it 16 years before before where we are right now. And they also like pretty much outlined everything that we already knew in Legends, which is not much, was mentioned in this episode. Tarkin's involvement, the fact that they're a single export planet and everything else needs to be imported, and therefore they're vulnerable because the trade routes were being taxed. There was a blockade set up, and that was what they were protesting when Tarkin parked his ship on them. So that's pretty much like they haven't changed anything from what's in Legends, except maybe pinning it down to a specific year. Exactly.
Okay,
I had always assumed it was an earlier thing, and I remember hearing that like this massacre that Tarkin did, it set the tone for his reputation. So I always thought it was early on in in the Empire reign occupation that like it happened. So like it was like, oh, they did it without showing us, and yet it's still having an effect on Gormans and their view in the galaxy. And like Brent alluded to, that the Gorman is still going to have a big impact on the galaxy and the personal level. Mon Mothma, like that. Again, Secret Cargo. One of my favorite episodes of Rebels, and like as soon as they kept hinting about Gormans in season 1, I was just like, are they gonna do it? Are they gonna do it?
Yeah, I just like this whole arc this season has been the Gorman stuff going through and leading it. I mean, it's given us something to anchor to for the show in general between the first episode or the first set last week and this set this week. I'm going to assume it's going to continue into the next week, and who knows by the time we get to the last arc. But
I think it's gonna permeate the season. We're going to get Gorman or its fallout in every arc of this season.
Yeah, makes sense.
Because the final arc is going to be Mon Mothma having her rapid exfiltration from Coruscant because she
Do you think that? I checked on the Book of Timelines, which I've got. Beautiful book. I always thought that Mon Mothma and that Gorman arc happened in B2 BB.
It is. It's 2 BBY when it happens.
2 BBY. Yeah. So that's next week.
I guess the second to last arc. And then the final arc in 1 BBY, we might finally get a fully rebelled out Mothma on Yavin, making moves, setting things up, learning of the existence of the Death Star project. Because Rogue One starts, they have an idea of what it is, but they're chasing down proof still.
Confirmation.
Confirmation that it exists.
Yeah, and for what we know, Rebels, by the time we get to Rogue One, they're already established. Mon, Bail at points shows up. General Dodonna's there and like setting up missions and whatnot. So like, it's in full gear, but not in a public sense yet. She at that point she's out of herself publicly, but so the 3 episodes are Ever Been to Gorman? I Have Friends Everywhere, and What a Festive Evening.
And what a great finale that was.
What a festive evening indeed.
Yes.
That might have been the biggest nail biter for me, was Clea trying to get the listening device out from underneath the artifact.
Yeah.
Twisting so hard that her hand was bleeding. Like, oh my God.
Jumping ahead, I've got to say this. Kudos for them writing Bix in that moment of being able to take care of her problem and taking care
giving
of
her agency.
Absolutely. I mean, she needed a bounce back, and for the life of me, I just didn't even comprehend that was the solution. It was like they put it there at the end. I'm like, oh shit, they're gonna do it. Yes. But
that was karma. That I have never seen a payback.
It was like beautiful.
That.
It was. I didn't expect to see that. I didn't think they were even in the same planet, let alone the same part of the galaxy, and so I never comprehended. But great way to write a strong female character who's been in a really bad situation to be able to get back her confidence in some form or fashion and be able to write this part of the story into it. They did an amazing job there.
I mean, everyone knows that murder is more effective than therapy.
Yeah.
Sure. 9 out of 10 doctors recommend. I'm just kidding. No. Because they portrayed her. She's a broken person. She's damaged. Yep. She has demons. She has trauma. But she's so not a damsel. And this is the second time this season we've seen her take her agency back. And now she's reclaiming herself from her abuser. And you love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Yeah. Strapped him to the chair. Presses play on the greatest hits of Genocide of Aliens and just walks out of the room, and he's like, that's what he deserved.
Yeah, that little explosion at the end was great.
Yeah,
that was.
I was concerned until that moment. I was like, "Well, Bix, what have you done? You're in a secure place. Your face is going to be on all these cameras." And then Cassian solves the problem for us, just destroys all the evidence. So now, good to go. Good to go.
Yeah, like to me, listen, I think. What a Festive Evening is my favorite episode, but I'm telling y'all, and I've been saying it, hinting at it, like when this arc hits, it's gonna be ramping up to 11 onwards. Like the fact that this same arc, we got the Gormans themselves standing up and arguing themselves, being like, no, they're killing us in our sleeps. Like we have to do something. And you see how Luthen sends Cassian to observe and evaluate, be like, how tough is it to us to get into, and then you have them mixing with Cyril, and Mon Mothma is doing her best to keep diplomacy going, and then you have, another freak out moment that I was like, holy shit! Like Tony, are you drinking the Star Wars Kool-Aid? When I saw this appear, I was like, holy shit!
It makes perfect sense. Perfect sense. That Saul Guerrero would have used it as a base. And abandoned it, and the Resistance would know about that, and they come back. Like, I thought that was fantastic. I thought that his monologue at the end.
The name was so familiar, it didn't click until I saw the set. I was like, oh shit. Yes, of course.
Oh yeah, his monologue, that's freedom.
So
get it right.
Like, here, hit this vape. Don't be a little kid. Like here, puff it in deep. You're one of us now, whether you like it or not. Talking about the most terrifying field trip ever.
Yeah, that's how people become radicalized, and I think they did a very great job there. And I think sadly, Will's direction is not going to be a happy one, wherever it turns out with Saul Guerrero. We'll see.
He's not surviving this show.
I don't think he's surviving.
Most of our ensemble cast are earmarked for death because where are they in Rogue One? The one exception, I have hope that Bix might survive. She's the one that I could conceivably say. During Rogue One, she's off on some peaceful planet. She's living in secrecy, or she's furthering the goals of the rebellion on a completely different front because there's so many fronts across the battlefield. Luthen, there's no way. He would be on Yavin. He would be in that command center next to Dodonna.
I have a theory about how he's going to die. I feel like somehow Andor's going to be the cause of his death. That's just my personal theory. I think Andor's going to have enough.
Deliberately or like inadvertently?
Deliberately. I think deliberately. I think at one point in the future, he's going to have a clash with him about. I mean, Andor's always trying to bring in this element of, if we fight for this, you need to have love in your life. You need to have this and that, because what are we fighting for without that? And Luthen isn't that.
He's the antithesis of that. He's a son of a
Yeah, and I feel like that if there is going to be a conflict of interest with Luthen, it's going to be between Andor and Luthen directly. And I feel like that's just, again, personal guess. We'll see in the next 2 weeks.
Did you guys have a favorite episode or a favorite moment throughout this arc?
I mean, there's so many good moments. I feel like I'd have to boil it down to one favorite moment per episode. And I will say right off the bat, best part of episode 4 was the little pod race that we got to see on the screen for a second, because that was not just any pod race. If you look at the Orbesh at the bottom of the screen here, this is the Grabvine Gateway track on the planet Marunda from the episode 1 racer game, canonized. Boom.
So
literally the same track. I was so happy when I saw that. That was fantastic.
I've never played the game, so that's funny though.
Oh, dude! Again, that was another thing that was. As soon as I spotted that, I was like, I was being busy. I was like, pod race. And then I was like, and again, I didn't have time to like go back and look at it specifically because of the editing. But like, and then I saw Kyle put up. I'm like, yo, it's from the game, and I was just like, that is sweet. Man. This feels like what they did with season 1, where like, oh yeah, by the way, here's Star Killer's like costume and whatnot. We're just like, hey man, like somebody in there is, and I think Sam said like that he feel like they left a mark. So somebody thought they left a mark. Somebody thought that the pod racing game left a mark, and it's just like,
oh, absolutely,
I love that.
Whoever out there like ran with the headline that Tony Gilroy is anti-cameo and anti-Easter egg does not know what they're talking about, because there are so many Easter eggs in Andor. The thing is, they're subtle and they service the story. So it's not being like shoehorned in your face like some of the other shows have done, but they're absolutely there. They're all.
I imagine. Sorry.
Go ahead, Brett.
I was going to say, I imagine Pablo Hidalgo had a lot of definite back and forth with information as well, I'm going to assume. Do you think that occurred? Or
I mean, it's not out of the realm. Like, to me, I think what Kyle said best, that this wasn't in the forefront. This was the background. This is, and again, with this scene, it's the Imperials watching ESPN during the night guard shift, and like, okay, they're pod racing fans. All right, let's see who's winning.
Right.
Confirmation also that the HoloNet News is now state-sponsored media, that it was bought out by
the
pretty chilling.
Sounds familiar.
Not
to get political, but yes.
It is. Yeah. Somebody, I think it was probably Bender, who, like, somebody was just like, somebody watching Fox News, and it's just like, it's like,
well, my guy said that too.
It's essentially the same thing, and I was just like, what the fuck?
Very much by design, not super subtle. Again, Tony Gilroy's not pulling any punches this season. He's just telling us how he really feels.
And for folks who take this, it's not the first time that someone's bought out the media and the government. This is,
of course not,
a tale as old as time. It just so happens that now everything's in 4K. Everything, there's social media now, so it's now more evident than ever beforehand. Back then, it was easier to hide.
Control.
It was radio back in the 20s and the 30s. So
Yes, that was sweet. I'll just say this: mine, and I love that. Seeing Cassian and Bix just have those moments of just like solitude between them and Cinta and Val as well. Like again, that just to have those two, two pairings of revolutionaries. And each
Cinta and Val would have been a nicer moment if they didn't immediately undo everything.
I wish that was a little more spread out throughout the course of the arc. Just this arc. Cinta needed to be in there a little bit more, in my opinion.
Yeah, I would have wanted to see more of that, but like I was like, at least they had that one night before, like it went down. Like I was so like, give them that, because again, I was worried also for Bex as well. But to me,
that's when I knew one of them was going to die, and it seemed like she was the one.
To a literal stray bullet. It is the most tired, derivative, played out trope. And I really thought that Tony Gilroy was above that. And that was very frustrating to see. How are you going to have the second ever lesbian kiss on screen in Star Wars and then immediately kill one of the lesbians, specifically to give the other one some baggage, to give her more character development? Like, they fridged it. They fridged the non-white lesbian so the white lesbian can go on and have this, like,
I get that. But I also, in terms of revolutions and like them trying to do this, the fact that it was the kid, the fact that it was in like quote unquote simple run, and the fact that they made it clear no blasters, like as soon as
the order, and it was for a reason. There was definitely a reason they said no blasters, because this exact scenario.
As soon as they were giving out those orders,
they tried to warn them against it too.
And the fact that the guy who carried Cinta, I think Cinta, was the dude that like quote unquote interrupted the thing. It was so like,
created the problem. That
was just so shout out to them, because and I think Tony even made it clear that like it wasn't because the actress was doing Doctor Who right now. It's just that like it was just the story they chose to go with.
Tony
she's Doctor Who. I didn't realize. I forgot about.
She's Doctor Who now. Yeah.
Tony confirmed it in an interview. The whole point of it was because he wanted Faye Marseille to have more baggage for her character. So it was literally for the sake of character development for Vel.
Right.
Which just, I don't know. I find that very disappointing, considering the caliber.
I get the conflict
gotten in the show,
Yeah. But at the same time, it's
a blemish on an otherwise unstained.
A lot of characters still left to go.
Yeah,
they're working their way through. But again, a lot of characters left, a lot of characters to choose from, and they chose a lesbian person of color.
And
but then I mean, could that have been a conflict with Doctor Who at the same time too? Because I know that both shows were shooting last year, and maybe she had to be written out, and that was a logical choice.
He said it wasn't about that.
Yeah,
so
Tony Gilroy
Really?
specifically addressed
All right,
the
I haven't read
reason,
the
and
interviews.
He said
Yeah.
the literal reason was so that
All right.
Vel would have more character development,
Yeah.
Okay, all
which
right.
is
Fair enough.
not impressive to me.
Yeah,
And again,
Speaking of
it's
recasting and schedules, though, what about Bail Organa? What do you think about Bail
oh
Organa?
the Benjamin.
being
Okay,
recast
so
as Benjamin
at
Bratt?
Who's
first, dude,
He did a
I
good
thought
job,
it was
yeah.
I thought he was Bale's brother because he said Organa, and like at first I was like, Bale has a brother? Okay, cool. It's Benjamin Bratt. Cool. Why not?
Oh
It
no,
wasn't
that's my brother. I'm Snail Organa.
Yes, it wasn't
Yeah.
until again, like later stuff that I was like, oh fuck, I was like, oh, this is Bale, and like again, I'm not gonna spoil stuff, but when costume comes to play, I was just like, and then it was the whole time of like, wait, why do they do this? And then I'm like, I'm assuming it was scheduling or budget wise and whatnot.
It was a
which is what-
schedule thing. It was a
which
schedule.
what I've been hearing,
Yeah.
whatnot, which it's sad because I love Jimmy
Jimmy
Smits as
Smits,
Bale.
yeah.
But you
He's
can't go
fantastic as
wrong.
Bail Organa, but I think Benjamin Bratt did a good job. And
Oh,
the
yeah.
reason why they throw him into this little scene here, Tony Gilroy confirmed it, was so that we could get this conversation we're having right now out of the way before next arc, where he actually has some serious work he's going to do.
Yeah.
Oh,
This way we can meet him, get our heads around the concept of this guy's going to be Bail Organa moving forward for this show. And then next week, when he shows back
Makes
up in the
sense.
Senate doing whatever he's doing, we can just lock in and pay attention to the character rather
sense.
than the actor. And
I would have been disappointed if that was the only time we ever saw Bail Organa.
Right, it would be very disjointed,
yeah.
and then it would be even more so when you move into Rogue One and suddenly it's Jimmy Smits again.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I think he did a really good job. He's clearly a very good actor, and I do kind of regret that they got someone who's so talented, and now he's just sort of Bail number 2. Like I feel like he could make a Star Wars role his own and be really good in that role.
Yeah.
But it's also credit to the fact that Lucasfilm are letting other actors come back in to portray somebody else.
That's what Kyle was saying. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm
I'm
completely-
pro recasting when it's necessary.
I agree completely.
I would much rather have a recast than be subjected to some Jimmy Smits deep fake AI monstrosity. Like that would completely have taken it out for me, much more so than be like a 30-second recognition of like, huh? Who is that? Oh, okay. I'm good. I'm good with it now.
Yeah.
Versus I would have been throwing my hands up if it was a deep fake. Like that would not just it just doesn't do it for me. And I don't begrudge anyone their personal preference, but for me, if you're gonna include a legacy character and they're not available, recast is the way to go. Because I'm here to see an actor act. I don't want to see a computer act. You know.
And on top of it, Jimmy Smits really is getting pretty old at this point in time. Like he's showing his age from, I mean,
and this makes sense because this is BBY 3, and it's like all right, it's like whether time or whatever it has to, it gives them enough legway to do the years prior to Rogue One and up to when we see it. But a scene that I did throw my hands at is probably the thing I was like, ooh, from the hints of the trailer, I was like, I want to see that play out. Was as soon as Davos introduced Director Krennic, and then it's just him.
That was so good.
I love that Krennic is like that guy at parties. That's so like in character for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Just a smug git.
Yeah.
He's like,
I've had the pleasure to listen to the sound of his own voice.
I think we all know a guy like that at parties.
He'd be like, oh yeah, I've been in many of her what did he say? Many of her hearings and whatnot. And she's like, oh, it's nice to see you outside of the witness stand. And it's just like,
yes.
I was like, these
not
two,
being a defendant for once.
Yeah. Just like, and again, their ideas of execution of imperial reign, and the whole time again, Davos is here to like showcase his exhibition, and the whole time, whether she was conscious of it or not, like Mom was buying Kayla time to like get the thing out, and it's just her and Krennic duking it out, and I was just like,
oh yeah.
That is so cool, man. That we get. Who knows if they ever meet again beforehand or afterhand?
Their verbal sparring was something to behold.
Oh,
and everyone in the room kind of picked up on there's another layer to this, but they weren't quite sure what it was. So everyone was just kind of like, are these two,
okay,
are they okay?
Yeah.
And my favorite moment in that whole party was Lonnie realizing that Luthen is right next to him. He's just sort of like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what the shit? That poor man has the most stressful job in the entire rebellion. God. You know he's not going to make it out of this one either, but I'm so worried for him.
Yeah.
Or he survives the show, and then it ends with him getting a new posting on the Death Star.
Oh no!
Ooh,
or something terrible like that.
But yeah, getting this thing out with the blood and whatnot, it was stressful.
That was a great tense scene. It was good. It was so tense. Yeah.
And again, it's just getting a little machine in the middle of an art exhibit. That's just like I love that, like something perceived as simple and not a big heist thing. Like
it was the MacGuffin. It's as simple as that. But it was
good. For sure, it was. It was propelling the plot forward.
Yeah.
And the artifact itself, I thought, was really cool. Just the concept of it and the visual, like how they built this prop, like the way it works, like a braille book. Everything boils down to everything boils down to touch. It's got rings like a tree. Like a lot of thought went into this. Like it's because you know with the production designers working on a show of this caliber, they don't just like, okay, we need a piece of art, make some art. They make a whole culture and then make the art
you have to.
like informing that, like a whole planet, a whole people, a whole history.
Okay.
What would they do? And that's like the coolest, most intellectual way to approach creating props. And I love seeing that stuff get a chance to shine on screen.
Yeah, that was my thing as a production designer and set designer myself. I appreciated in this arc even more so the production design. And it wasn't until the first episode in, I'm sitting there going, the architecture on Gorman is fantastic. It's beautiful. We haven't seen before, but why is it familiar? And then I was like, oh shit, everything is related to the spiders. All of the columns have got that shape that's like web spitting out. If you look at Cyril's office, it's got eyes of a spider, as if it's spider eyes that look both outside and inside of the room itself. And then, of course, they're platted with that little kind of, that glass shape and everything. So and then of course all the freezers and all that have got like spider web silk that's all spread throughout and almost DNA like in its design and simplicity.
Fantastic production design,
incredible,
like the way everything informs everything else. And not just that, but I think that the linguistics, the language they came up with for Gore is probably one of the most believable sounding real languages that we've got.
I thought it was French. I thought it was real French. Don't realize
it was very inspired by like a French, Swiss, Bavarian,
German,
kind of put together. And ironically enough,
but it was its own language.
Had the other best one was the Canary language. That one also, like, there was a lot that made it sound very like real world. And Star Wars isn't particularly known for that. We've got some pretty goofy alien languages in the past.
Yeah, right. So but I mean, the linguist too. I'd like to know who the linguist was on that, because was it the same guys who did the Lord of the Rings kind of linguistics and stuff like that who helped them out? You need to have a special skill in linguistics of a language or a race to especially make something up. And we've seen that, I think, on all the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings, where the linguists are talking about, how they make up the Elven language.
Like Lord of the Rings had a very unique starting point, because Professor Tolkien himself developed so much of the language when he was writing the books. And so they did have linguists, but they also had Tolkien scholars. And their whole point was trying to interpret like the glossaries and the annotations that Tolkien himself had left behind to show, because he wrote the language first. And then he was like, well, now I need to justify this ridiculous academic exercise I spent 10 years on. So I'll write a book using these languages. But Lord of the Rings is kind of like the pinnacle of that. Nothing will ever come, because he was a professor of linguistics. That was his field. And so he created Elvish. Then he split it into two languages, Sindarin and Tengwar. And then he created Orcish and Dwarvish and all these things. And like,
then you got to give incredible credit. Yeah, well, then you got to definitely give credit to whoever was the linguist for Andor to get it together so quickly for so much dialogue. It was incredible.
Also, props to those actors, because it is an extreme acting challenge to speak a fake language naturally and to make it sound real. Emilia Clarke comes to mind. All of the Dothraki and Targaryen and Valyrian. That's what it's called.
Same thing.
Like, she spoke that very well.
Yeah, it was, as a cinephile, it was cool to see Richard Semel in here, because again, people have seen him from the Strain one out, but I immediately was like, "Inglorious Bastards," and I'm like, that is so cool now that like he's trying to like make the Gorman front something to fight back on. And again, so believable that even the bellboy in the hotel, like how he was there during the Tarkin massacre and how he was trying to give his perspective. And again, Cassian taking lessons from Luthen, like being pimped out there and like pretending to be an art or designer, if you will, and like.
I think I said something during my reaction about how like the Tarkin massacre clearly left like a deep wound on like the cultural fabric of this place, more so than just the people involved. Like it's one of those like never forget kind of moments.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because from the Imperial side and from the core worlds, the whole Gorman pride thing is like almost like an ignorant thing. That's just like, I wonder where that comes from. Like I wonder if it existed before the Tarkin massacre or not, because. Again, even Richard Sabel's character saying that, like, how would you think that people would feel that they're building a fortress in front of the memorial, casting a shadow and whatnot, and like that whole angle was just
another French allegory too. That memorial in the courtyard, very French Revolution feeling, and the memorial itself actually resembles a guillotine. I don't know if you noticed that, but like it totally gave that vibe. And then the current present day Gorman feels very World War II French resistance, but like that memorial plaza specifically was very like French Revolution with a guillotine up there. Thought that was really well done.
I can't wait till the Art of Andor season 1 and 2 come out. That book. That book is going to be a must get. I cannot wait to see some of this design work up close.
In the perfect world,
I did not pick up the 800-page Doug Chiang book that just dropped around Celebration, but
that's
on my list. It is on my list.
Yeah, on my list. And the ILM book as well, which is $260, I think, or $270. But that's also my list. I've got the other ILM books too. So
nice.
When it comes to the behind the scenes and the art of books,
I love the art of books. I even like the encyclopedia books that they've done. I've been trying to find a good one for Rebels.
But those visual dictionaries, man, I loved those as a kid.
Yeah.
I've kept most of those away, but I've got the art of creating a galaxy. But I've got I've got the actual $400 box set that it came with some miniature cast models and stuff like that. Same with the art of the costuming,
like the deluxe edition. I have one of those.
The
deluxe McQuarrie. I have a Ralph McQuarrie deluxe edition, and it came with a little maquette.
Yes.
Of I believe Jar Jar Binks actually.
Oh wow, that's cool. I've never seen that before. That's cool.
In a perfect world, I would hope that Disney or Lucasfilm would do what HBO has been doing for The Last of Us, where like after every new episode, they dropped an episode of a podcast talking about the making of, and I would die for like.
They do have something like that. They do. Let me find out what it's called. I haven't been watching it myself.
Oh, that's right. The YouTube, the YouTube stuff on like 50 minutes and whatnot. Like.
It's called Andor Declassified.
Declassified.
Oh,
I just
wish it was drops like after each episode airs. And that's exactly what you're asking for. They do.
I just wish it was
some breakdowns, behind the scenes tidbits, and
that's cool.
Well, they always wanted to do longer. Like I remember watching the Rebels Recon episodes after Star Wars.
Sure, I watched those. Yeah, I just didn't realize they had
longer. They could give us more.
Yeah, totally.
That's something I hope. I hope at a press junket I could just ask someone to look to them like, please make more of these like commentaries and like stuff. Like there's something unique about that time period with Lucasfilm that like it was literally a quote unquote free film school if you picked up the DVDs and all that stuff. Like
you learn so much from those techniques.
And I miss that era of it.
It's an under-respected collection medium. People that collect the art of books and the hardcovers and like the breakdowns. Everyone's all about the hot toys or the helmets or this or that, but like, man, those books, fantastic.
I keep changing loyalties every couple of years, and something big like this comes along, and it's like, I need this so badly.
Well, people compliment me on like, wow, you got so many helmets, Kyle. That's so cool. And I'm always like, you should see my coffee table. It's like made of ridiculously awesome hardcovers of like Doug Chiang, Ralph McQuarrie. Like I got a bunch of like Philip Druyet and Mobius and like Heavy Metal Magazine ones as well. It's amazing.
So we're going to be wrapping up the stream soon, but I did want to leave the boys to talk about, again, hone in on, an episode, a moment, or anything like that about this arc, because this was foundational work. And again, I've been saying it since season 1, but like this show has like breathed in new air to the franchise and given folks to be like, you know what, you can take the Imperials this series. You can look at the EU it takes something and just floors you more. Because now more than ever, I want to learn more about Gorman more than ever now. Like I want to see how much more I can connect with this side of the franchise outside of the main planets that everybody knows that we eventually go to. But like this was a unique thing. So well, let's start off with Kyle.
Oh, okay. Well, I will say I feel like that people are being a little bit too harsh on the Gorman front. They're doing the best they can. I have a lot more empathy and sympathy for the Gorman front than I did with like the Maya Pei Brigade, for example. They were just some fools in the jungle, not knowing what the hell they were doing, just straight arguing. These people are watching their society slowly get eroded, and they're feeling that their rights are being stripped away. And like, I can relate to that. I feel like I can put myself in the shoes of these guys. I've never been a gorilla tromping around in the jungle, but I have been a dude pretty like nervous about what's happening in the political landscape where I live. Like that's something that I can put myself in that scenario. And so like they said, it's tough taking orders from outsiders that have just showed up. Like we've been living this struggle, and now these fancy pants are going to come from some other planet and tell us how to do our rebellion. Like, even though they're wrong and they should listen to the expertise of Cinta and Vel, I fully get where they're coming from. I fully understand. And when they like wanting to have personal protection and being told no blasters, they really should have listened to that one. They should have listened, but I get why they didn't. And I get why that guy had a blaster on him. Totally empathize with that. I guess my favorite thing, like just kind of as a meta here, is that Cyril Karn has bought a comical amount of spiders from that dude in the script. And eventually someone's going to notice, like, does that guy have like 100 toy spiders in his house? Like, what the hell? He bought one every single day. How many do you really need?
That's funny. That's funny.
Yeah, the whole Gormata plot or whatever they call the Gorman spiders, but like
Gormata plots.
Or like the bots.
That's always been again even seeing the whole notion of like Deidre ordering Cyril to like do this, meet up in secrecy. How the lieutenant or the major's telling Cyril, Deidre, don't tell Cyril. Cyril can never know our true intentions in Gorman. Like, So
I did appreciate the juxtaposition between like one of the steamiest kisses we've ever seen, and then like some missionary position with the lights off.
Lights off.
I remember going,
yeah.
Oh god.
A couple of things on my perspective. One, the Deidre and Cyril relationship there. My guys on my reaction channel were like going, are we going to get Cyril turning? And I'm like, I don't think so. I feel like that Deidre has full control over Cyril, the situation, and everything else. So I doubt that even if Cyril thinks that he might end up somewhere down the path turning to the rebellion, which I personally don't think is ever going to happen, I called it from the beginning that no, Cyril's as much in the dark about a certain amount of stuff, and Deidre was pulling the strings, and I was.
Oh, she's playing him. She is playing him.
Oh, totally. Like
like a fiddle.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's the long term for sure.
Playing him like whatever that silly harp thing was at the wedding.
A couple of cool droids. Paparazzi ball was kind of fun there when you saw the paparazzi thing at taking photos of Mon and everybody there at the party there.
Devil's place.
And of course Roomba droid, which
in the office,
the floor cleaning.
Oh, that wasn't Davo's place. You guys recognize that building, right?
Oh, right, that's the ball.
That was the opera house. Yeah, no, right. That was the opera house. Yeah, no,
he's the host.
I originally thought. I originally thought the party was the way they were talking about the party, and they're going to deconstruct all the everything. I thought it was going to be back in this thing when they actually turned up on Coruscant. I was like, oh, we're actually still on Coruscant. Oh, the party's come to us. It's kind of cool.
You and I, we've got money to play with. We are not nearly rich enough to know how these parties actually work. Like, of course, you're going to get
there. You go.
You're going to rate this. You're going to get it's like what? A party in your house? My God.
Then I guess also. If you're going to have all your stuff actually gone through and someone's going to look at everything, you're going to bring it to them anyway. You're going to actually So
Kyle, I know you have to go prep for your show. Thanks so much for taking the time of being part of
thanks for having me, man. This was fun.
Please tell people where people find you and what they can expect from you in the next few weeks.
You can expect a whole lot of really intense Andor reactions and me probably having a meltdown because I can't handle the pressure. I do reactions on my channel, Kyle Katarin. You can find me anywhere there's an Instagram handle, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. It's Kyle Katarin with a 1 for the L. I do reaction and review Star Wars content. It's a good time. Yeah, and like I said, we're in full Andor mode right now, but we'll also be dropping our Star Wars Underworld reactions next week too, in celebration of May the 4th, which is coming up this Sunday. Very excited. Very excited for that.
Yeah. My friend, thanks so much for taking the time, being part of it. Take care, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yeah, always fun.
See you, man. Brent.
Yeah.
Before we go, I also want to say that, again, seeing Erskine in live action, that's a deep cut. I think for me, seeing Saul shoot the guy that he was trying to train with Will, that was a big shock and whatnot.
Yeah. All the signs were there, though. If you look at it, the fact that he was continually bugging Will for information didn't even click. But how resistant Will was to not responding to any of those calls was should have been an obvious, and it went past me until Saul shot him in the head. I was like, oh wow, because I thought he was going to shoot Will. I thought he was going to take out Will.
Yeah, and then again, we alluded to it, but the monologue of like, you're here now, you're ready to fight.
Yeah,
and Will, breathing in all that pollution, whatnot. That was fucking wild.
Which also is wild because that explains now where Saw is at that point, because he's breathing so much of this fume by himself, thinking he's immortal to all this, that he's constantly in Rogue One. So that adds to that part of the story. We still haven't had an explosion where he loses some more body parts, because I think he has lost a few body parts
legs.
And the legs and stuff. So, and I'm wondering now whether Will kind of saves him by getting in the way of whatever goes on. That's a possibility. I don't know. We'll see. That's a wild one, but maybe that's a anyway, we'll see with Will. I don't know what his fate is going to be.
Yeah, the fate of this show and these next few arcs is going to be platonic. I'm telling y'all, like it's gonna go nuclear. It's gonna be wild as hell. And like, again, Bix gets her vengeance. Krennic's presence is ever growing. Mon is still fighting the good fight. You get to Cassian doing his thing and trying to do good by both Bix and the cause. Luthen having that stressed out moment with Kayla, that was like so new, and I was just like, holy shit, things are tensing up now, even to the point when oh my gosh, what's the Imperial double agent? Oh my gosh,
I forgot his name, but I'm enjoying that character much more this season. I found him just like, okay, he was there in season 1, but now he's like more involved. But anyway, I know who he is. I forgot his name though.
Him and what he's doing, just like I'm loving this series, man. Just loving this season. Like I think that if they keep this up, it'll be better than season 1.
Yeah, I feel like it already is for me personally. And I say this only because of Star Wars Rebels. Now, this is the other thing about this season that's been more obvious, is that we're getting to see all these factions and factions you only really more or less either touch base on in Rebels, or of course you saw through the eyes of the Ghost Crew. And so you are getting a breakdown of all different types of factions, whether it was the group from last week that Andor had a clash with, or whether it's people under, as Kyle had just mentioned, under the pressure of the boot of what it was like to be under the boot of the Empire like that. And Bad Batch also, we saw that in Bad Batch too. But I'm enjoying all these different takes on different cultures under the boot of the Empire and how they react to it. Some will fail. Obviously, I feel like the Gorman group are not going to succeed in this. It was set up to fail. And even Luthen said they're going to be set up to fail. So I can only imagine a massacre of some proportions coming up for those characters. But that's what I've really been enjoying. I've been enjoying that connection to Rebels for me personally. and the Bad Batch with the other factions in the rebel groups that don't come together until Mon escapes, breaks away, and pulls those factions together, the cells together as one big faction. And I'm looking forward to seeing how this live action version's take is from the other side of the camera. We saw Mon briefly in Rebels, but now we get to follow her arc, I'm going to assume, into Rogue One. And that I think is going to be fun to see and different. We get something different from Star Wars in a time period that we know what's going on. We get something different and a different perspective, a lot of different perspectives.
Details. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Folks, you're going to want to stay tuned to next week's stream. I may have some new guests, and I'll just say this, especially next week's stream. I'm already going to give Brent the warning that it might be a longer stream next week because there's going to be a lot.
That's fine.
A lot.
As long as I'm not working, I will make myself available for sure.
Yeah, and then we're going to have to also take care of Tales of the Underworld.
Yes,
but yeah, folks, these next few weeks are going to be special if you're a Star Wars fan. Between this show, Tales of the Underworld, May the 4th, people try to experience the Revenge of the Sith as much as they can before it's out of the cinemas. But yeah, Brett, it's always a blast talking Star Wars with you.
It's always fun, man. Absolutely, yeah.
Tell where people find you.
You can get me at Age of Grogu. That's on Twitter. That's on YouTube. That's on Instagram. And yeah, I'll be obviously doing reactions to Andor, reactions to Tales of the Underworld. I do toy unboxings. I've got a couple of Micro Galaxy things coming in. They just pre-ordered today, which should be in sometime in the next week or so. They've just released the Geonosian ship, which you see Count Dooku fly off in Attack of the Clones. So that's one of the new ones that are coming out soon. I just picked up the B-Wing, but I haven't unboxed it yet. Hera's B-Wing fighter, this is, from Rebels. So got a few unboxings I'm going to be doing, some fun ones. And I got a feeling that we might be getting Rex kind of soon from the 6-inch line, the 12-inch line of Hot Toys. So I think that's coming very, very soon. And possibly Ahsoka.
Nice.
Lots of unboxings. Cool.
Yeah, folks, you're going to want to stay tuned to the reactions I'm dropping every week, either on YouTube or in short forms or even in TikTok. I'm going to be doing my best to cover Tales of the Underworld within this weekend. And yeah, stay tuned. And again, like I alluded to already, I'm already trying to set stones and stuff in place for celebration of 2 years. That way that becomes a good special one to put in the books for everybody out. But yeah, until then, hopefully enjoy the stream. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the enthusiasm, let people know that if you're a Star Wars fan, come hang out with us, especially in these next few weeks. And as always, may the Force be with you. This is the way. Take care, everybody.
This is the way.